Hi everyone, this is Tomo. Thanks for watching. Today I want to talk about what COVID has destroyed, or rather what I believe COVID has destroyed in our lives. The reason why I'm telling you about this is because I realized something after putting up with this COVID thing for almost 3 years, starting from the early 2020, almost 2 or 3 years ago. It's been almost less than 3 years we've been having this COVID, whether you are in America, in the UK or Australia or in Japan. This thing has been capturing our lives in many ways, in a bad way. So I just want to tell you what I believe COVID has destroyed us in a particular way. So as you know, COVID has been taking toll on us in terms of our physicality, right? So for instance, if you have COVID, you have huge symptoms. For instance, hard to breathe, for instance, or continuous coughing and lethargy and unprecedented level of lethargy and coughing, for instance, and so on. So if you have been having COVID at least once in your life, you know what it feels like. So yes, it takes us on a body and on a physical level. One is a physical burden, but the second one is our emotion. It has taken toll on us on our emotional level, because, like for instance, in Japan, the COVID has been really rampant recently, and as you know, the Japanese culture is very conservative. We still use masks even before pre-COVID time. It's normal for us to wear masks each and every day, whether at work or private, because it's just in our blood, or it's in our culture, another way to say it. So we've been living in under this culture or invisible understanding that we should do our best to protect ourselves and others, and in order to achieve that, we should wear masks. Each of us has to do it all the time. So still at workplaces, for instance, people are encouraged to wear masks, and even at private times, people are encouraged to wear masks. So that's a culture. So because of that, people are asked to keep social distance away from each other, even at work or private, and that has been really stressful. So the stress has been accumulating, and as a result, there's this invisible pent-up anger, if not passive aggressiveness, but this pent-up anger and frustration that each one of us in Japan has been feeling, whether you are Japanese or a foreigner. So there are two levels of burdens. One is physical, the other one is mental or emotional, right? But what I believe primarily the COVID has destroyed is not physical or mental. It is actually the relational. I think the relationality is what COVID has destroyed the most. I'm gonna tell you in details. The reason why I'm saying this is because my group, actually a faith group that I belong to, something happened between them. So 2.5 years ago, the COVID started, and long story short, this group that I believed and then got along with and that I trusted kind of went away from me and my wife. What happened is that my wife got pre and post pregnancy depression, postpartum depression, pre and postpartum depression, and I've been communicating with my pastor in the church, to let them know our situation and ask for support, whether it's physically contacting her, my wife Pam, or bringing food or offering prayers or any support that they can do, they're willing and able to do. And long story short, no support has been done. And because of that, I personally was super hurt and disappointed and sad because nothing has happened, and nothing tangible. Tangible help that we specifically needed. For instance, bringing food or taking care of the kids, for instance, or communicating with my wife. On a personal level. Because I trusted the pastor and the church that I used to get along for such a long time, over like 10 years. That had been really painful for me. It was a painful experience. So to me, that was a huge relational sort of betrayal / destruction that I perceived and that I experienced. And but thankfully, right now, God has blessed us with a new group of community, with people who are loving and kind and compassionate, who are embodying the Christ likeness and His love. So that I'm super grateful. I thank God for that. But at that time, that's what happened. And do you know Elie Wiesel? He said once that the difference, the opposite of love, is not hatred but indifference. The opposite of love is not hatred but indifference. And to me, what the church has been done or has not been doing is a clear indication of that indifference. And as you may know, in Japan, people are indifferent. Or in other words, people have been becoming indifferent more and more than before. That's one precise way to say it, I think. Because it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. We don't really, people here in Japan do not really typically pay attention to things, let alone, for instance, those who are marginalized, homeless people, for instance, or people with disabilities, people who have a need. In general, I'm not trying to generalize it, but in general, typically speaking, people are indifferent in Japan, and it has been worse, becoming worse than before, as far as I know. Unfortunately, I'm sad about it, but it's just a fact. So this action or inaction or by the church has been really crippling me physically, emotionally, mentally, and also spiritually, of course. And because of that, I can only fathom and hypothesize the reasons why they have been turning their backs on us or me personally. It could be that because of COVID. Primarily, I believe that because people are encouraged not to meet each other and keep social distance. So that's also one huge reason. But in general, this indifference has been really, I've been exceedingly feeling this sense of indifference in Japan as I live here for almost 3.5 years after we came back here with my wife and our kids. For instance, there is this incident that happened in Japan recently, that this girl, I believe she's first grade elementary school student, went missing after even 5 minutes before her mom left her home. The girl went to a park, and then her mom left almost 5 minutes after, and she went missing since then. And it's been 4 to 5 days already. There are few people who have witnessed the girl, but I believe nobody really talked to her. If she acted weirdly, or if somebody was kind of trying to abduct her, for instance, nothing happened. So if only somebody talked to her or spoke to her with this genuine curiosity and interest in others, in her, just to help her, this may have not happened, is what I believe. So I'm really sad about it, and I hope that she'll be found pretty soon. But these things really indicate how unfortunately the Japanese people have been becoming more exceedingly indifferent to each other. And I believe that because that inaction or action of the church, to me personally, indicates the embodiment of the indifference, which is the opposite of love. So if what Elie Wiesel says is right, which I believe so, what we should do, I think, you and I, is to be loving others, because if the opposite of love is indifference, the opposite of indifference is love as well. So what we are to do is to love each other, I believe. And how we can do that? One of my favorite pastors is Rick Warren, as you may know. He says before that love is to take heart, to notice, to be aware of those who are marginalized, who are on the edge, who are not normally noticed by people. Love is to notice others. That's what he says, and I completely agree, because, for instance, of this, my experience of this church in action, to offer support or care. To me personally, if something happens to my friends in my community, in our community, I would extend my hand to bring food, for instance, or to help in any way that I can, to chat even, to bring comfort, to even just give a listening ear to him or her, whatever he or she needs. And about this missing girl, if I see someone who seems to be needing help in any way, I would talk to her or him and see what's going on. And I think that's what we, whether you're a Christian or not, as a human being living on this planet together, as one community, as a whole, I think that's what we should do. We should be loving and not being indifferent. Does that make sense? So if you feel comfortable, please share what destruction or changes, or rather destruction, have you experienced because of COVID? What do you believe or feel COVID has destroyed or changed in your life? Whether it's your physicality or mentality, spirituality, or relationality, or it could be anything else, right? I would like to hear your experience as well. So if you feel free, please share your experience, and I'll be delighted to read. And thanks again for reading and watching this video. And if you feel like it, please like my video and comment on it. Or if you're okay, please do subscribe to my channel. I normally upload only videos in Japanese, but sometimes, like this time, I upload videos in English. So I hope to see you soon next time. And thank you again. God bless you, your family, and your friends. Bye bye.